So how does this connect to the Torah portion in the New Testament? It's a pattern. God gives us his divine sequence, a way of life in covenant relationship, because the purity of Adonai's presence as Shekhinah will consume our mortal bodies. You'll die to this life. So in the New Testament, then, Yeshua is asked, what is the greatest commandment? Yeshua answers, the first is Shema, hear Yisrael. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Everything flows from this. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to another Meditation Minute. I'm going to start by asking how the Torah portions are prophetic. So in our Western way of thinking, we tend to see everything as a straight line of events. Most of us have been taught that Yeshua returns, and it says in Matthew 24, he's going to separate the sheep from the goats go into the fire, and that's the end of the story. Then comes the millennial reign, a kind of utopian world, and life is good. But that's really not how the biblical calendar works. We have the months, the Moedims, the appointed times, and they don't move in a straight line, they move in cycles. So we begin with Nisan, the first month, Passover, then comes Shavuot in the third month, Sivan, and after that we move towards Tishri, the seventh month, with Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. And these aren't random, they're prophetic cyclical patterns established in creation. They're God's appointed times sustaining life both physically and spiritually. But there's something deeper here. We have to renew our thinking, especially from a Jewish mind, right? We have to learn to see patterns, not just timelines. Now, I came across a short clip from a site called the Faithful Galileans that really highlights this idea. It introduces the concept of nishma, doing something for its own sake. Take a listen.
There's a principle, something very interesting in the psychology of Jewish people everywhere. And it actually it's ancient. It's written down in the Talmud, Pesachim, I think it is 50. And it's a window into how we think over here. And it goes like this. Mitoch shelo lishma, ba lishma. Mitoch shelo lishma, ba lishma. But it's not about just hearing. It really is translated something like, from doing something, not for its own sake, one comes to do it for its own sake, like for the greater good. So it's like a psychology, a philosophy, a practical application is what it is. It all comes down to practical application. Whereas the West is more like the Greek understanding, like Plato or Aristotle or Socrates or some kind of a philosophy. But if you're coming from a place of not for its own sake, lo lishma, and it's not lishma, sounds like hearing, but it's actually performing an action.
Now keep in mind what you just heard and consider this. There's still 5 months after Tishri leading up to Nisan. And what are those months for? We have Heshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Shavat, and Adar. Let's touch off on 2. Heshvan is the 8th month, sometimes called Mar Heshvan, right after Tishri. It's known by the sages as a bitter month, and why? Well, because it comes right after the intensity of Tishri's holy days, and suddenly there's no holidays. It's a time of quiet faithfulness, a time of return to God, not through big moments, but through consistent action. Now let's jump to Adar, the 12th month, the completion of the cycle. To understand Adar, you have to understand the pattern of Esther. In the book of Esther, chapter 8, a decree goes out in the 3rd month, Sivan, on the 23rd day, but the appointed day for its fulfillment is the 13th day of Adar in the 12th month. So what begins in Sivan isn't completed until Adar. And where does Esther take place? It's in Persia, also known as Elam, what we know today as modern Iran. In the prophecy of Jeremiah chapter 49, beginning in verse 38, we would read, God declares that he will set his throne in Elam, bringing judgment, but also restoration in the latter days. The the Be'acharit Hayamim, or in the end of days. So how does this connect to the Torah portion in the New Testament? Well, in Acharei Mot, after the death, and Kedoshim, holiness, God gives Aaron a precise order of actions, instructions for life. Do these things so that he, Aharon, would not die. That's Hashem's love. It's a pattern. God gives us his divine sequence, a way of life in covenant relationship, because the purity of Adonai's presence as Shekhinah will consume our mortal bodies. You'll die to this life. God doesn't want that. He has given us purpose. So in the New Testament, then, Yeshua is asked, what is the greatest commandment? Yeshua answers, the first is Shema, hear Yisrael. The second is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Everything flows from this. Now, we are living in prophetic times, brothers and sisters. So what does it mean for us, mitoch shelo lishma be lishma? It means not doing something for its own sake, but doing it for its divine sake or God's prophetic purpose. It means walking out our Judeo-Christian messianic faith in God's order, in his patterns, in his appointed times. Everything flows from this. May we continue to unwrap the secrets of the New Testament. Shavua Tov.